And I'm very excited for my next guest. I told you Aviana Rodriguez Brown is doing just such an amazing amount of work for racial equity in our city. So this next quote really stuck out for me. Hate is too great a burden to bear. It injures the hater more than it injures the hated.
Preach.
Sometimes it doesn't feel that way. But in actuality, when we don't have racial equity in our city, we all lose. So, I'd like to welcome Aviana Rodriguez Brown to the stage. Hey, honey. Oh, yes. Do-si-do.
Do-si-do, here we are.
Oh, you are so busy. No, the silver one's better, girl. Yes.
Got it.
You know, I love my silver.
Yes, yes. Ah, the head is silver.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. Yes, my name's Aviana. Very nice to meet you all. You are so beautiful.
So you are so busy that you literally just got here from a loadout.
Hi. Yes. I do theater, and it's a lot.
I love it. So let's talk about what got you started in theater.
What got me started in theater? Is this actually helping?
Yeah. It's
okay.
for the live
It is
stream.
helping. Okay, great. What got me started in theater was actually my mother's push to try to get me to run for president, which might still happen, Mom.
Hey! I'm voting Rodriguez Brown. Great.
2020. Yes, and I was such a nervous wreck as a child. I was shy, though no one would believe that now. And really, it was more of a push. They said, put her in a drama class, she'll lighten up, she'll talk to people. And that's really what happened. And now I haven't stopped talking to people.
Yeah.
Anytime we go anywhere, my mom's like, do you have to talk to everyone we interact with? And I'm like, that's what you wanted me to do.
Yeah.
That's the real politician in me. So yes, that's where I am now. Yeah. Theater for me though, I started out in New York at an arts conservatory and I was doing the training. I truly believed that it was all about me. I was the best person in the world.
Yes, ma'am.
You better cast me because no one else before or after me is better. And that's what New York trains you to believe, which is great. Everyone out on the New York circuit, they're on a hustle.
Yeah.
But I started volunteering when I would come home on my summers for the organization Me to We. Me to We. And it's a program that actually teaches young people to volunteer hours. And for the hours they put in, they get to skip school for a day and go see a whole day of concerts at what used to be the Key Arena. Who knows what it'll be now. But, and I was so inspired by these young people collecting anything that people might need for Uganda, Afghanistan, India, like Africa, South America. They were doing so many things. And for here in the US as well. I was extremely inspired and I was like, man, I feel so selfish. I was being slapped in the face by 10 to 15-year-olds and their selflessness. Yeah. And it really changed my outlook. And I was like, I went back to New York the first summer and I was like, this is fun. Yeah, this is great. But I just felt so selfish when my only goal was, I need to be the best person. I need to be in a Broadway show for my own gain. Yeah, I would love to be in a Broadway show now. Still yes. Would love to be in a Broadway show now. But my view and my outlook and my goals have changed. I would love to be in a Broadway show to inspire other young plus-size lady, women, non-binary people to do it because they can and they're just as good as anyone else. And it's not so much I need to be there so that my name can be on the marquee so that people who I stepped on to get here will see me. So.
Right on.
They still see me.
Yes.
Yes. So.
Now you're doing a lot of writing and directing right now.
Woo, yes, I am.
Yes.
I am writing and directing, and my focus there shifted because I started seeing a lot of theater with Black, Latino, Latinx actors' stories, and I was saddened by the view they were told, the scope, And it always seemed so skewed. Something was missing. And when I dug a little deeper, I realized, oh, the whole production team was white. That's amazing. Thanks for telling our story for us. And the more and more I saw it, it was just a reoccurring, like, oh, great. You put colored people on stage for your own benefit. I appreciate that you gave us a check. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate that you wanted to see our story told. I really appreciate the work you're doing to get us out there. But you're not actually doing the work correctly because you're not giving us the chance to tell the story.
Amen.
Unfortunately, there's no way that a white person will ever have the experience that a colored person has. There's just no way. Sorry.
That's true.
VR won't even let you do that, sorry. Because you're never gonna get the looks that I get on the bus when I literally step on it. You're never gonna get any of the discriminatory things that I just on a daily basis. And they don't have to be outlandish where someone has to call me the N-word, but it feels that way because they don't want to sit next to me or they don't want to talk to me after I've said good morning, you know? And unfortunately, like I said, they're never going to be able to tell that story correctly. So I said, well, might as well submit proposals for directing of these stories that I want to see. And I did the first one, and it happened. And I was like, oh, me? Okay, great. Here are all my ideas. Here's what I want to do. Here's my outlandish. And maybe I'm thinking that I'm somewhere with more money, and that's fine. But what can we do to make this story come alive in the imaginatory way that I've seen it in my head? And usually, my proposals are the worst. I'm sure that every theater company hates them because it's like, here's how we could do it with the most money. Here's how we could do it with a little bit less money. Here's how we could do it with half the money. Here's how we could do it with no money and no props and no furniture and no costumes. Here's how we could just do it if we just paid the actors and I didn't get paid. Here's how we could do it if I brought the whole production team with me. You don't have to look for anyone. And you just pay the actors, and I'll pay the production team. I literally write 6 different proposals for one project because I want it so bad.
Yeah.
Because I just want to be able to tell the story through a view that won't skew it.
Well, that kind of passion and drive is definitely going to make some waves.
Yes.
I'm very excited to see where you land with that as far as a directorial position is concerned. I'm hoping very much that it's here. But I'll digress off of that. Let's talk more about what you're doing as far as applying those experiences right now.
How am I applying those experiences right now? Unfortunately, a lot of the work that I have proposed or I am working on is trauma-inducing. I just did a show where you watched 3 Black queer women next people die on stage. It was very harmful to the Black community. I heard a lot of backlash from them, and I apologize for putting you through that. I lived it more times than you, and it was really hard for everyone involved in the project, as well as everyone who got to see the project. I'm also doing a project right now that was based on the Virginia Tech shooting. And I had to lead a conversation afterwards to help console, and I'm going to be honest, the white guilt that was permitted after the show, after myself being on a block that was shot up in my neighborhood less than 2 hours prior. It's been really hard to be in this world that we live in and to tell the stories I want to tell. I'm currently assistant directing a project called Blackbird, opens May 30th, my birthday.
Yeah.
And I am transmitting any and all things I'm still holding on to from being molested myself, because the story talks about a 12-year-old girl who was molested and then confronts her attacker 15 years later. And our team is so strong because there's so much in that room that we all bring in on a daily basis, that we all go through when reading the script over and over. What does that word actually mean? Are they talking about this thing right here, right now? Or are they talking about this thing 10 pages ago? Or are they talking about something we haven't even touched yet, and it just happens to come up because that's what happens when you're in this conversation? And I've had those conversations, and they're hard. But the beautiful thing about art is that it reminds us that we're not alone, that we aren't the only ones going through these things, and that life and people suck.
Yeah.
People suck. But we survive. And that's the story we're telling. We're not telling the story of a victim. We're telling the story of a survivor who then survives yet again and survives on a daily basis. And those are the stories that we're trying to tell. And it's so powerful. And my art, my drive, my want is to help people see past themselves, outside themselves, and to see a reflection of themselves in the other people that they interact with. Like you and me right here.
Ah!
This beautiful mirror I see right now.
We feed off of each other, Quinn. Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. So that's a lot. And I think, honestly, I thank you for doing that type of work. To drive a conversation like that no one really wants to have. So when is it going to happen? It's never going to be a good time to work through your baggage. Okay? Now's the great time. Right now. Don't waste any more. Right?
Unfortunately, we get baggage put on us continuously every
Yeah.
day. Because I can't even use my body the way I want to use it. But yeah, and unfortunately, if we don't take care of what we're still holding on to from the past, we can't even deal with the things that are coming at us on a daily basis. So we can't just say, oh yeah, I'm gonna deal with that. Here, I'll just put it right here, and I'm just gonna hold on to that. And oh, I'm gonna take some of this too. Oh, and you know what? I'm gonna put this back there too because but there's no more room, and eventually it all explodes.
Yes.
And that's actually what we're seeing when we see these people explode and we see shootings or attacks against people of color or attacks against colonizers. It's because we hold on to so much. We don't express those feelings. We don't express the packed in trauma, the learned biases. We don't actually say those things out loud, and therefore we're holding on so tight, and then we just explode. And it's not healthy. And unfortunately, I'm all for technology. I used to work for Microsoft. It's a great company, yeah. And there's so much cool things that this little device can do, and I'm really enthralled. And then I'm not, because I don't ever see anybody's eyes anymore. And when I see someone's eyes, I just latch on, and I have to say hi, and I have to wonder what is going on in your mind that you disconnected for 5 seconds long enough to see me. Yeah. What is going on? And if it's bad, let's just talk about it. Because
Waste no time.
Absolutely, because we may not get another chance. The show about the Virginia Tech shooting, it's called Office Hour. It closes tomorrow. Happy closing, Office Hour. Over at Arts West. Yes, I was just getting there. At Arts West in West Seattle. And that has been difficult because the playwright, Julia Cho, actually didn't assign race to any of the characters. But the courage of the casting team over at Arts West actually assigned the main professor and the student, the aggressor, the student, the victim, and the monster. I don't know how to explain his character, but as Asian Americans. And that changed the whole story. Because, I'm going to diverge a bit, but because so many theaters want to just put people of color as tokens and as check marks and as inclusionary things. Great, thanks. Love the check. But You actually can't put these people on stage and not tell the story as to why they're on stage. It doesn't make sense. And a lot of people talk about blind casting, and that's really great. Sure, for some people. And for some instances, when race could possibly not be affected on the story. But you can't actually put someone on stage and not identify their race, because it is a factor.
Yeah.
If the story is as simple as they walked on stage, they sat, they waited, and walked off, you could watch 10 different races do that. But depending on what they experience through that day, they're gonna sit differently, they're gonna rock differently, they're gonna wait differently, they're gonna look around differently, they're gonna see differently, they're gonna smell differently, they're gonna hear differently. And anything that happens on that stage is gonna change because of that person's experience, life, present, and future experiences, the way they see how they're going to be impacted by the world, the way they even hold themselves when they walk in the world. All those things are gonna affect how they sit and then leave, how they even enter the space. It's a great theater project, let's do it. Who's with me?
Acopius, yes.
Yes.
So let's talk about how organizations can better their stance.
Ooh, well, got my little,
There's
Miss
notes.
Angela Davis, y'all, just published another book, and I suggest you read it because it will charge your heart, it will charge your mind. And she says, social consciousness, politically, awaken and urge in those affected by it to creatively transform their oppressive environments. Well, Miss Davis, thank you. Theater companies, and I'm speaking from my own experiences here in Seattle. I can't speak for other places, though if I visited and spent some time, maybe I could. But I grew up in Seattle. I left Seattle purposefully because I was being discriminated against and did not see any open doors back in 2010. Came back in 2016, saw some open doors, but again, mostly tokenism. And now we're seeing some racial equity. There's a lot of radical theater companies, air quotes for those not in the room or able to see, radical theater companies who are giving free art. They are paying artists to put on a show and then offering it to the public for free. Shout out Intiman. But people are angry about it. They're so angry. And I am interested to know why. Why are you angry that things are free for the public? Because by making them accessible, it actually is empowering that community to see outside themselves, to see the problems they live in, to see their potential greatness, and possibly rise to the occasion, possibly change for the better, possibly change the world around them. And we actually don't want that as a society. We actually don't want a better place, sadly. We don't want people to be better. There's a lot of, the more and more that I work in larger theater companies in Seattle, I'm actually surprised that they have pay what you can on a weekly basis. They have student matinees, and they have discount codes. And again, I only know this because I actually work at the theaters. But if I didn't, I would be looking at a ticket that's anywhere from $50 to over $100 to see art. To see art about my life. Because no matter what, art's either about the working class, some type of racial class, and or some type of sexual thing that's happening. So it's about us, y'all.
Yeah.
No one's, I mean, they might. Never mind, I don't even want to say it because it'll become real. Your words have power, so don't say anything you don't want. Yes, please.
I frequent the opera, and the cheapest ticket is like $70.
You frequent the opera, and the cheapest ticket is $70.
Yes.
And I bet you, if we had a computer right here, right now, I could find the back door that actually has the pay what you can night dates on it. And that's crazy, because you have to go through 6 to 10 different links just to find the pay what you can. I could pull out 6 different flyers right now for the projects I'm working on, and none of them have pay what you can days on them. But each theater company has a pay what you can. The Seattle Rep, I just saw 4 women, Nina Simone's 4 Women. It was beautiful. And I didn't know that they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one just happened, 8, 9, 10 pay what you can nights. And over 10 student matinees that if you reach out to their box office, they will actually allow you to see a student matinee for the low, lower than $10. And those tickets are over $50. It's crazy. But why are these things not accessible, not knowledgeable, not advertised? Because these theater companies don't actually want to take any type of pay cut, income cut. They don't want to lose that money in revenue. So they don't make it accessible and knowledgeable. I live in a subsidized housing now. Thank you, Seattle. Appreciate it. Don't know how long it'll last. But in the neighborhood, there's no type of advertisement about arts in any way, because nobody actually cares for those people to attend. And that's so sad, because those are the people who need inspiration most. Those are the people who look at themselves in the mirror and don't see hope. Those are the people who don't see themselves represented, because all they see is the flashy, the glamour, the edited. Even if I see someone who looks like me in a magazine, I wonder, do they actually look like that? Or did they take 10 pounds off? Did they shrink them? Is their hair actually that curly, or is it a wig? I don't know. I don't know. Yes, did you have something else? Yeah, thank you. No, it's okay. Totally here for it. And that's the thing, too. We didn't say, but I just want to say that I'm always interested to hear what you have to say. And if you disagree in any way, please, I would love to know why. I'm not an expert. I can only tell from my own experiences how I see the world. That's where my expertise comes in. I'm the expert of Aviana. That's it.
Yes, I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing all that work.
Absolutely.
And continuing to do that work, and to being just so open and affirming to the idea that the only way you're going to be able to clean up your life is by picking up all your shit and chucking it out the window. So keep doing that.
Absolutely.
Yes.